Hello and welcome. You're watching Business Today Television. I'm Sakshi Patra and this is Market Today, a show where we'll help you understand the closing action on the D Street. Well, it's the weekly options of the expiry of the Nifty, and you can actually see now 100 point of a loss on the Nifty. We've slipped below 24,550 now in trade and are now at the lowest level of the day. When we look at the sectors, barring the IT and the metal space, all the sectors are trading with losses, with the FMCG space now down by over a percent. Media stocks also down nearly 2%. Small caps, which were so far hovering at record high levels every day, are now seeing some profits being taken off. Now a percent of a loss can be seen on the small cap 100 index. You also have the PSU banks, autos, oil and gas dragging in trade as well. But it's the IT space that has continued to stay put from the morning trade, still about 0.8% higher. Stocks like Tech Mahindra, TCS, Infosys, HCL Tech, Wipro, these are the ones that have been hovering higher in trade. Among the top 5 Nifty 50 movers, you also have Adani Enterprises that's pulled up smartly. 2,507 is the current level, 2% higher. Bharti Airtel comes next, along with Tech Mahindra, IndusInd Bank and Adani Ports also now jumping up by about 0.9%. In the F&O space as well, Adani Group stocks are making their presence felt. Adani Green Energy now up 7%. You also have Manappuram Finance, Granules, Max Healthcare, some of the other stocks that are actually doing well. On the downside, however, you have Nalco, that's down by 7.5% today. Jubilant Foodworks, Indus Towers, that's where the pain point is emerging in the F&O space. Let's welcome our guest on board. We have Kunal Rambia, founder of The Streets, now joining in with us on the show. Hi and good afternoon, Kunal. Thank you so much for taking the time out. Well, first up, your comment on the markets clearly. We've had a range-bound trade playing on the Nifty for about 3 to 4 days now, today being the expiry, and now we are slipping further, losing ground in the last 1 hour. What is it that you expect for the Nifty for the expiry and now going forward?
Good afternoon, Sakshi. Good afternoon to all our viewers. So if I look at the Nifty chart, if you look at the behavior of last 7 days, it's broadly in sideways consolidation itself. On the Nifty index, the support is placed at around 24,500, and on the higher side, we have seen the resistance near to for 24,700 kind of level. So it's been around in this 200 points rally itself when the Nifty is hovering, though it's as of now at the lower end of it. But the overall trend remains, more muted and positive itself. From the lows of November, we are still making higher top, higher bottom. So I think this correction, even if it continues for, say, 100, 150 points more, can be considered as a buying opportunity. Stock-specific moves are likely to play well for the remaining, 15, 20 days of the month. But indices, I think buy on dip can be a good strategy.
Okay, got that. Kunal, we'll start talking about some of the pockets that are buzzing. Let's start off with the IT pack itself. This has been at record high levels consistently. Of course, globally also we are seeing the Nasdaq inching higher to record levels right there as well. A lot of tech move is being seen globally as well. What is the sense that you're getting? Do you think a rally that we have seen thus far has taken out maximum of the gains that were to be seen, or is there still an opportunity for somebody to take an entry in the IT pack?
Yeah, absolutely. It makes sense to, say that the trend is absolutely strong and positive, and that's what we are witnessing also. But we should not forget that in this uptrend, when the counters are near to the higher end of the trend, then the risk reward for the new entry is very, very difficult, right? It's very
Yeah.
unfavorable. Let's take an example of, say, Infosys, the counter which was trading somewhere in September near to 1980. It's presently
Hmm.
also at the same level itself. So, these counters are facing some kind of resistance, but the trend is absolutely strong. So, if someone is riding the rally, with the trailing stop loss, it would make more sense. Companies like TCS have not even seen the previous high. So yeah, I think the steam is still left on the counters. They might show us, 5 to 8% more on the upside, but one needs to be cautious at this level.
Okay, got that. So that's the view that is coming in. Let's take the next question, and this is on the Adani Group that I wanted to ask you, Kunal. And the Adani Group stocks have come back after the recent consolidation pretty smartly in trade today. Stocks like Adani Green, they are up by 6-7% odd also in the trade today. In the F&O space, of course, it's shining bright. Adani Enterprises, Ports, Adani Green, Adani Energy, Total Gas, across the board there is a strong move that can be seen yet again. Anything that you believe is a fresh trigger that is supporting the sentiment on the Adani Group yet again, and what's the strategy that you would adopt here?
Sakshi, I was lucky enough to discuss about entire Adani Group on that event day itself on our channel itself. And now Adani, the counters all were near to the previous bottom itself. Let's just take an example of Adani Green. The bottom somewhere in the month of October 2023 was near 870. And what we saw is a correction, the recent correction, it exactly made low of 870 itself and it bounced from that level. Now, this spike which is seen was one sided rally followed by small correction. Today is the confirmation of the uptrend. So if someone is willing to enter the positions, I think today's low can be the good stop for almost all the counters. So the first is Adani Green, which I like the most. With the stop of 1120, one can definitely initiate a buy, and the targets can be 1400, which is the previous high. Same is with the case with Adani Port. I think this counter is also showing good momentum. We'll wait for the breakout that's around 1270, which is today's high itself. Above that, with the stop loss of 1230, one can initiate a buy and the targets can be 1400. For positional traders, this was the buying opportunity. Probably, if they would have captured this, trail the stop loss and ride the rally. For the new entrants, wait for the follow through momentum. One can definitely capture the ongoing rally.
Okay, got that. So that's as far as the Adani group of stocks are concerned. The other pocket that I wanted to discuss, Kunal, with you is again the erstwhile favorite pockets within the PSUs, the railway space, for instance, which has been continuing to garner some more strength. Do you think this has to do with the pre-budget positioning that probably people are taking yet again? It's been in a long time-wise correction. Most of these stocks had also slipped 30-40% from their highs in the last 2 or 3 months, and there was absolutely no action across the board. But suddenly over the last 1 week, 10 days or we've been seeing incremental positive moves across the space. What is it that you are advising your clients at this stage on the railway pack?
So absolutely, Sakshi, that's the only point which we can correlate, saying that the budget pre-budget positioning is happening on such counters. But if you look at the trend, again, it was absolutely positive. From the corrections of July, till somewhere near to October, this entire corrective phase was almost 30 to 40%. The counters came down by 30 to 40%. But if you look at last 3 years behavior, this correction was a minor correction compared to the gains which people have made, right? And after that, again, there was a sideways consolidation, counter started uptick again. So the most me is a Titagar wagon. Now, this is not the PSU, but still, Titagar rail, I think, can be is well placed with the stop loss of around 1150. One can definitely initiate a buy. Buy on dip can be also good strategy on this counter. I think the previous highs of 1800 and 1900 are very likely on this counter. Extremely bullish on the entire sector, specifically.
Okay, got that. So that's the view on the entire railway space. Let's also discuss some of the other pockets in the interim. With beyond railways, also within the PSUs, is there any pocket that you're particularly keeping a keen eye out on as well, Kunal? What is your sense on the PSUs?
I'm extremely bullish, Sakshi, and specifically PSU banks are looking very attractive. I mean, just have a look at those counters like Indian Overseas Bank and Central Bank and Bank of Maharashtra. Specifically on 4th of December, these counters were up by around 8 to 10% on an average. Since then, they are in sideways consolidation. Look at the volumes on IOB. Just when we started our show, there was a massive volume and the counter gave a big spike again.
Okay,
I think there
okay.
is more room for the upside. IOB looks positive to me with the stop of around 55. One can initiate a buy and the targets can be 62. That's a conservative target. The second is PNB, Punjab National Bank again. So I'm just waiting for the follow through buying above 111. So that's the breakout point. So above 111, one can initiate a buy. Stop loss can be 105 and the targets can be 120 to 125. So these and one can eye on entire PSU banking space person.
Okay, got that. So that's the view that is coming in. Let's again look at some stock spotting at this point in time to see where the momentum is particularly buzzing. Let's look at the broader markets to pull up any stocks that we can. You have MTNL that's up 7%. The entire telecom seems to be in thick action too. So Bharti Airtel we know from the large caps, and from these broader markets you have MTNL, Tata in the buzz yesterday. Stocks like Indus Towers are also buzzing. Tejas Networks, they're all coming back in flavor. Anything particularly on the telecom basket that you're keeping a tab on right now, Kunal?
To be very honest, I don't personally like this
Okay.
space except Bharti. Bharti is
Oh,
looking
I
very
see.
attractive again. If you look at the
Hmm.
recent correction that which ended on 21st of November, since then this counter is making clear head of high bottom. Today is the first confirmation again of the continuation of rally. So with the stop of 1570, honestly, we have initiated a buy on this. It's looking very attractive. The first target can be 1700. And you know what's advisable on such trending counters is to keep trailing the stop and hold. When you were mentioning about MTNL, that's the first time when I saw the chart after a long time. A consolidation looking attractive. So someone wants to take up the small trade. Then with the
Yeah.
stop of I think 54, that makes sense. And the targets can be 67 to 68 kind of levels. But
Hmm.
again, one needs to be cautious on the risk management part because of the circuit problems on such counters.
Okay. The other pack is the metals pack that has been shining bright. There was one key trigger in the initial part of this week, and that was the China stimulus that was being discussed there. Do you think metals technically also are getting back into flavors? Should one keep an eye out on this space? Any key stocks that you're particularly keeping an eye out on?
Yes. So again, the previous week itself, we were discussing about the likes of Steel, Tata Steel,
Yes.
and Sale and Jindal Steel. These were the
Yeah.
preferred counters, and what we have seen is that the
Hmm.
counters have really come a big way. The previous week, I'm just talking about say Steel Authority of India for now. The last week it was up by around 5.5%. This week it's up by 4.5%. But just
Right.
don't worry about this recent move compared to the recent correction. These
Hmm.
counters are just up by few percentage points. So I think this really has a lot to do on the upside compared to downside. With the
Hmm.
stop of I think around 115, one can initiate buy on Steel Authority of India. The
Yeah.
targets can be 150. The second counter which I like the most is Jindal Steel and Power. With the stop of around 950, one can targets can be 1050. And again, these are the counters which have shown massive trends even in the past. So what I advise always to our viewers is keep trailing the stop loss rather than booking the profits and waiting for some next stock. Let's just enjoy this entire rally. So initiate the trade as the counter turns favorable, keep trailing the stop loss. I think there is a lot of room for upside on these metal counters.
Okay, got that. So that's the view on the metal pack as well. Let's again look at some of the other pockets that are buzzing. On the Nifty Next 50, beyond the Adani Group stocks, what buzzing is Vedanta again from the metal space. You have JSW Energy, Jindal Steel and Power, that's also buzzing. Bajaj Holdings is up and about. And Within the QSR space, you are getting some interesting names, FMCG names like United Spirits or maybe Varun Beverages. Then you also have stocks within the same basket. Some of them are actually buzzing in trade. Moving on beyond that space, now we've been discussing the PSU banks with Kunal, but let's also push forward some capital markets related stocks for you to really consider, Kunal, now. And this is one space that has been consistently moving up. Stocks like Edelweiss, BSC, CDSL is, of course, so those are the first names that come to the mind in the kind of record moves that we have been seeing again. Angel One, 361 WAM, even, Geojit, some of such names are actually continuously buzzing. Nuvama, for instance. Your own sense of how should one be really looking at this particular segment if somebody does not have any exposure to the capital markets related stocks in their portfolio, what is the strategy that you would advise?
The first breakout on this entire space was seen somewhere in the month of August. The first example which I would like to discuss is the Angel one. The counter was up by around 10-11%. Then the trend is just on. So, these counters are trending counters. Now, again, we just come back to the same point risk reward ratio, right? So, like IT stocks, these counters are at very high levels. So, the ideal strategy on this entire space should be to buy on dip rather than buying at the elevated levels. And after this Motilal Oswal report, which we read in the market, I think this space will see a lot of buying interest coming in again. So the first counter is Angel One, which I personally like the most. I would advise to buy somewhere near to 3,200. I think there we can have a favorable risk reward ratio with the stop of 3,000. Then one can initiate a buy. The second is Motilal Oswal itself. The counter is right now trading near to 1,100. Sorry, 1,010. I think if there is a minor correction seen on the chart and if the price comes down to 950, then with the stop loss of 900, one can think of initiating a buy there too. So these all counters are looking good. They are in trend, but not at these elevated levels, let's wait for some minor correction to happen to initiate the buy.
Okay, got that. We've taken that point right there that Kunal has suggested on these particular capital markets related stocks as well. Let's also discuss the other part of the market where we are seeing weakness currently. We must address both the sides of the markets as well when the markets are also down. Kunal, some of the stocks that are on the downside when we talk about the F&O space, Nalco is down 7%. Then you have Jubilant Foodworks from the QSR space, that's down by 5% as well. Syngene is down, BHEL is down as well. For those stocks which are actually losing ground today in the F&O space, is there any buying opportunity that you would suggest, or should one stay away?
See, Jubilant Foodwork is down by around 5% just for the day, but overall trend is still very positive. And it has just fallen from the highs of September 2024. The levels were, I think, around 710. There only we saw the correction coming in. So this first correction, we should not consider. I mean, I will always consider this to be like a buying opportunity. Rather than immediately buying, let's wait for the counter to settle down somewhere, make a days or twos of consolidation, and then we initiate a buy. So Jubilant Foodwork is a clear thumbs up for initiating a buy near to 655 levels. All
Okay.
right. Similarly, other counters which you mentioned, I think we'll have to go stock specific and find out if the trend is negative. For the sake of it, I think FMCG sector is looking very attractive to me from the long
Okay.
term point of view because the counters are down by around 20 to 25%.
Okay, got that. FMCG space is something that you can keep an eye out on, and Jubilant Foods is also a buy at around 650 levels. Nalco is something that is under pressure, but there are few factors behind it. Alumina prices is the first key factor that Nalco always reacts to, and prices of alumina, remember viewers, had to as much as $820 per ton from $600. It cooled off to around 700 per ton as well. And then you're seeing these stock prices react in this fashion. The other key factor is Chinese aluminum smelters are finding the prices of alumina too high, and therefore, as a result of which, a lot of aluminum smelters are shutting down due to the lack of demand, and this results in the demand for alumina also going down as well. So all of this is also impacting Nalco. Nalco was being seen as one of the top performers in the metals pack when the entire rally was unfolding. Do you think this again is cyclical and therefore this dip should be seen in the positive light, Kunal?
This counter is being in positive trend but losing momentum since
Yeah.
October, I guess. It's more or less in the sideways consolidation with positive bias. For now, it's at 230. I think the correction might just get extended for a few more percentage points. I think the level which we need to keep in mind for now is 215. Rather than just buying at this first correction itself, we'll just wait. I think near to 215, we can always revisit this counter where I will be extremely favorable, and then we'll see whether the strength is really getting back to this counter. If yes, we can initiate a buy with the stop of 210. This counter is being in our portfolio since around two digit levels. We are still holding on to it, but for us the trailing stop loss right now is 205 because the positions are at the very low levels. If someone
Yeah.
wants to initiate fresh, I think with the 215 level keeping in mind, one can strategize the entry accordingly.
Okay, understood. So that's as far as Nalco shares are also concerned. The other pocket, since we're talking about metals, the entire infra space is also in thick action. It was real estate first, and then it got on to cement, and now it's metals. Talk to us about this broad infra theme right now, Kunal. We've always seen that pre-budget, a lot of pre-positioning always the government gives the highest allocation to infra, and these are the space stocks that actually start to get into the buzz. Do you think people should start early to tap this space? Probably this may get into thick action closer to the budget, and therefore one should take the benefit of it and advantage right ahead. Any key stocks within the larger infra space that you would like to highlight?
See, yeah, what you're saying is absolutely true. People always start to position themselves a little early compared to the expectation of the announcements, right? So, but at the same time, we should not forget that this sector per se has given us more than 100% returns in 1.5 year time. I'm just referring to Nifty Infrastructure Index,
Yeah.
which was trading near to 4,500 kind of levels somewhere in 2023, April and May, has recently made high of 10,000 levels. Though right now we've seen the correction of around 15% from the highs, but I still risk reward ratio is unfavorable, number one. Such kind of corrections, the indices should get into sideways consolidation also. I'm focusing more on the technical part because the broader fundamental factors on the entire sector remains very positive. But will we get the buying opportunity near the lows is something to watch out for. So as of now, I'm extremely bullish on this entire sector, but I'm not buying at this level again. So on the Nifty Infrastructure Index, I'm keeping a watch on 8,300 levels. Right now, it's trading at 8,800. Now, I'm talking extremely positional. So, if
Yeah.
someone wants to go, for next 2 to 3 months or 5 months at least, one should wait for the price to get into consolidation. If the index reaches near 8,300, then likes of those all, LNTs and other counters will shortlist and will think of initiating a buy. But for now, I'll just wait for some more clarity to see how the trend shapes up over the next 10 to 15 days. We'll initiate a buy then.
Okay, got that. Let's look at the market again, viewers, to see where the buzz is. Among the top gainers today, you also have hospitality stocks doing well. Chalet hotels, for instance, went up almost 10.5% higher, trading at 1,025 now. This is a strong move that we've been seeing on Chalet. We had pointed this out in the morning trading session as well, that the stocks like IHCL and Chalet should be on your radar. And then now you see just within the last few minutes, you've seen that spike to over 10% on Chalet, changed a digit too. Kunal, do you like this stock? Would you chase the momentum here, or is the best priced in?
No, no, absolutely. We'll definitely try to chase this counter at this point in time itself because since March till today morning, this
Yeah.
counter was within the consolidation itself and it wasn't able to cross 950 mark. And what you can see today is that it actually opened flat and see the spike with the massive volumes. It's at 1015. I think the new rally is likely to emerge from this point in time itself with the stop of 925 or say 930 for now. One can definitely initiate a buy. Now the stop loss is looking away just because the move today itself is being exaggerated move. So with the stop of 925, one can definitely buy. I think the targets can be 1200 to 1225. And again, because the counter is coming out of this broader consolidation of 9 months, one should not be in hurry to book the profits. Keep trailing the stop loss and hold the position.
Okay, got that. We have other stocks also that are buzzing in trade. We have BLS International Services, that's up 6%. Adani Green, that's up 6%. Tata Tele, also that's up and about 5.8%, like we had marked out early. Century Ply is up 4.5%. You have Aadhar Housing Finance, that's up by about 4% as well. Those are some of the various sectoral stocks that are buzzing among the top gainers today. Especially the hourly gainers, like I mentioned, Chalet is one, but you also have Hind Copper, that's also on the buzz, Varroc Engineering, some pharma related stocks also coming, Ajanta Pharma, Suven Pharma. Let's discuss this space as well with Kunal. Kunal, how are you really looking at the pharma space particularly? Do you think this is one space that one should keep an eye out on? It's been sporadic with the kind of moves that we have seen in the pharma space. What goes next?
So yes, especially after the US election, the way of looking at the index, and we just have to wait for the policies to shape up in the US for the Indian companies to see how they are going to perform going forward. So I think more or less this index can be a good defensive play. I think, broadly speaking, on the correction of around 3 to 5% on the stocks, I think one can still accumulate the counters. I personally like Sun Pharma the most, though it has not
Okay.
done much in the recent times. But the support level of 1700 should be kept in mind, and one should think of accumulating this counter near to 1700 to 1650. Similarly, the counter like Ajanta Pharma, this counter is down a bit today, but
Hmm.
overall trend is, today it's up by around 1.5%. But in the last 5 to 7 days, it was down consistently, right? So I think these counters are now making good bottom formation. So with the stop of around 2700, one can think of accumulating Ajanta Pharma also. Don't expect massive rally in these kind of counters because of defensive nature itself. But when such kind of markets are, extremely lackluster and sideways, these counters are offering good risk reward to us, and one should definitely take the opportunity to accumulate such entire and this entire space itself.
Okay, got that. We'll also The BTST, STBT trades now. Kunal, over to you. Any key stocks that you've identified for the viewers?
Might not be exactly STBT or BTST, but yeah, the first counter which I like the most is Borosil Renewables. Now, this counter was up by around 25% last week, and this week also it's up by 7%. But the interesting thing to observe is that this counter is not showing us the price correction. Since 3 days, it's consolidating in a tight range of around 577 to 600 kind of levels. Right now, it's 594. So I think with the stop of 570, one can definitely buy. This momentum is likely to continue, and the positional target, which I can see on the chart, is right now 675. So with the stop loss of 570, one can go long on Borosil with the target of 675. The second counter is the PSU banking counter itself, which is Indian Overseas Bank. When we were discussing, this counter was still negative, now it's turned positive. So with the stop of 56.5, one can initiate buy on this also, and the target can be 62. Now these two counters can be BTSD. If the stock goes really well in a particular direction, as we discussed, then trail the stop loss. And if I get the opportunity to come back to the channel again next week, we'll discuss about these two counters again.
Okay, got that. We will do that for sure. Let's again look at some of the other pockets. 5 minutes to go now for the market. Let's quickly do some kind of market spotting at this point in time. Clearly, Chalet Hotels is at 52-week high, and you can see some move there. Strong suggestion of 8.5%. EID Perry is also moving up smartly now. It's again at a 52-week high. Max Healthcare is at a 52-week high. It's up by 3% odd. You have Muthoot Finance that's at a 52-week high as well. These are the stocks that are doing very well. With the ones most active in kind of value that can be seen in today's trading session, then you have Reliance Industries, Bharti Airtel, HDFC Bank. In terms of the most active by volume, you will see Tata Teleservices, Nalco, IRFC, Zomato, Suzlon Energy. These are the stocks that you can really look at. Are there any stocks at 52-week low? Yes, there are many. Asian Paints, you have Nestle, P&G, you also have Balaji Amines, that's down. Avenue Supermarts is also at a new 52-week low. So those are the kind of stocks that we are seeing. But if we look at the kind of stocks that we are seeing in terms of the hourly gainers, Hind Copper is something that you can look at, viewers. That's moving up smartly in trade. Spike was seen, and it carries on towards the last few minutes. That's the kind of spike you're seeing, but some it's then you also have stocks like BASF India. You also have Schaeffler India, Westlife Developers, some of these stocks that are also buzzing in trade. We'll any which ways look at what Kunal suggests then as a strategy for tomorrow, and then we'll start to wind up the edition. Kunal, what would you advise now after the expiry tomorrow? What should be one strategy?
See, Bank Nifty, when we started our show, Bank Nifty was down by around more than 200 points, and right now it's 130 to 135 points. I think very clearly it's taking the support near the mentioned levels, which are 53,150. Keep that ballpark figure itself in mind because of sideways consolidation of last 6 to 7 days. For tomorrow, again, buy on dip can be good strategy on the indices as we discussed in the beginning itself. Now, these individual pockets also, which we discussed, can also be taken for the short-term trading as well as long-term. Just one point to note that tomorrow being Friday, overnight positions might not look good or favorable. But if the counters are near support, definitely one can initiate the buy and stay on with these counters. Otherwise, Monday morning, if there is a positive opening, then with the stop loss of today's low, we can initiate the buy for the entire week. That can be good strategy for tomorrow as well as for the next entire week.
Okay, got that. So that's the view that's coming in. Well, thank you so much, Kunal, then for being with us on this special edition to share all those,
Pleasure, ma'am.
thoughts and ideas and insights with all our viewers right there. Truly appreciate your
Thank you
presence with
so
us
much.
here, as is always. Let's start winding up now. 2 minutes to go, viewers, for the markets to shut shop about 92 points lower. 24,550. Thankfully, we've climbed back from the low point of the day as well. IT metals, these are the only two pockets that remain in the green among sectors. And those which are at a loss are FMCG over 1% cut, small caps over 1% cut, media 2.5% down now, sharp losses being seen. PSU banks are also losing in trade today. But IT stocks clearly in the winning zone. Adani Group stocks clearly in a winning zone. Adani Enterprises now nearly 2% higher towards the end of the show. Then you also have Bharti Airtel, Tech Mahindra, IndusInd Bank, Adani Ports, Power Grid that's moved up smartly towards the end of the trade as well. But on the flip side, NTPC is towards the top 5, among the top 5 losers. So Power Grid is among the top 5 winners. NTPC is on the losing side. Mixed trend within the power pack. HUL, Hero Moto, Coal India, BPCL, these are the ones that are dragging. Adani Green Energy about 7% higher. You have Manappuram Finance that's up 5% as well. Adani Energy Solutions, Granules, Max Healthcare Institute, all of these stocks are actually buzzing with sharp gains towards the end of the session on the markets in the F&O pack. Then you also have Nalco, Sun TV, Indus Towers, Jubilant Foodworks and BHEL. These are the kind of stocks that are actually dragging in trade. 102 points now lower. We quickly slipped again towards the last 1 minute of trade. 102 points. 28 points to the lows as far as the Nifty is concerned. You have HUL, L&T, NTPC and ITC. Even HDFC Bank and Kotak Mahindra Bank did not support. On the flip side, Bharti Airtel supported on the positive side. Infosys, TCS, Axis, ICICI Bank, Adani Enterprises and IndusInd Bank as those which are the ones that gained in trade. We'll wrap it up at that, viewers. Now, it's turned out to be a weak close for the Nifty on the weekly options expiry. We'll see how it really moves on forward from here. Of course, a lot will depend on what the macro, the inflation. Remember, after we understand how the inflation figures are really moving. Is it still above the RBI's comfort level? Because remember, we also have the new RBI governor who's assumed office. And now it will be important for us to really understand which way will he be tilting. Will it be growth or inflation going forward from here? So that's something that the markets will be reacting to tomorrow also. And of course, globally, what the action turns out to be. Leaving at that, many thanks for tuning in on this edition of Market Today, but continue to stay put with us. We have interesting conversations following in from the healthcare space pretty shortly after the show. So stay tuned, much more up ahead for you.
This logo and this car are now an iconic piece of history. That's because Jaguar has officially rebranded